In Struct PIM, you can translate your product data in two different ways. One of them is to manually translate your content to any language that you've set up in Struct PIM. The other way is if you have AI Assistant enabled in your account, you can actually automate the translation to basically any language in the world using AI. So let's go to our settings and see what we have to work with. And right here under general, we can see that we have the languages option here. Let's click this. And this is our list of existing languages that we've set up in our system. We could easily add a language to this list by filling out this form. And now let's talk about the first method of translation, which is the manual method. So let's go to our PIM section here. And here we have a sample product that we can use as an example. So right here at the top of the product edit workspace, we see the language selector. If we click this, we get the option to switch over to a different language here. So let's say that I want to switch over to the Swedish language. Nothing really happens here, and that's because these specific properties here aren't set up to be translatable. But let's go to our marketing tab, and here we actually have an indication of the language that we want to translate to here. So let's change back to English here, and we can see the English values for this specific field. And that's because this attribute here is set up to be translatable in the attribute setup. So if we change back to Swedish, we can see that the values here are in fact empty. And the same is the case for something like our description fields here. We have the short description field. It's also translatable, and the long description field as well. So if we want now, we can actually just go ahead and fill out the content in the specific language here ourselves manually. And even though this works pretty well, there is actually an easier way to do translations if we have to do them manually. And that's if we go to our icon here, we see that it says enable translation mode. And if we click this, we can now select the source of our translation. And let's just say that we want to use the English as the source. And here we can select the target language that we want to translate to. And let's just select Sweden again. So as you can see, what translation mode does is it lists out all the attributes that we have set up to be translatable in the system. It presents them in this easy to digest list where we can just one by one go through the translations here for each of the specific attributes. And this is already an upgrade from having to do it one by one for each field itself. So let's just go back to the target here, and we can actually add multiple languages here as well. So let's say that we have Swedish and Danish, and let's say we want German as well. And these versions are also added to the translation mode right here. So we can have an overview of all the languages in our system and just go through them one by one. Other cool things about the translation mode is that we can actually see that right now we're viewing this in a horizontal layout, but we can actually change this to a vertical layout. So let's click this, and now we can see that each attribute is now laid out vertically so that we can just go through them one by one. And if we go back to the top, we can also say that we want to collapse all attributes, and we can see all the translatable attributes that we have available right here. We can expand these, and then the appropriate language fields are displayed here again. So as you can see, if you have to manually translate content, it doesn't get easier than this. But let's say that we want to instead automate translations using AI. Well, we actually have this option right here in the translation mode itself. So notice that our, let's say, USB field here, it has values in English, but it doesn't have Swedish values, and it doesn't have Danish values, and German as well. So let's now automatically update these in each of the languages. we can go to this option right here that says auto translate all attribute values. If we click this, we have the option of translating all the values, all the attributes that we see here, or we have the option of just translating the empty fields themselves. So let's just say we only want to translate empty fields. And just like that, Struct PIM now automatically translates these fields using the AI assistant that we have enabled inside of this Struct PIM account. So for now, we've seen a couple of different ways that we could translate products manually and automatically, but this is still a single product. So let's say that we want to translate an entire list of products. Well, we could actually easily do that as well. If we go back to our PIM section here, let's go to our search, and let's say that we want to select these 5 products that we want to translate. We could easily do it right here. Under more actions, we have the option to translate data. And here we have the option of selecting that we want to translate all the fields belonging to the product, of course, only the translatable fields, or if we want to instead select the fields that we want to translate. So let's just, for the sake of the demo, select this option. And now we can say, let's translate the USP fields. And we can actually go ahead and select multiple fields, but let's say that we are good to go with the USP field. So let's hit done. And here we have the option of selecting which language that we want to translate from. So basically the same as the source option we had in the translation mode itself. So let's say we want to translate from English, and here we can select the destination languages, and let's just say all 4. Hit done. And finally, we have the option of selecting whether or not we want to translate all the selected fields, regardless of whether or not they have pre-existing values, or just translate the fields that are missing values right now. But let's just say, yes, we want to translate all. And let's just say, yes, we want to be able to approve the translations before saving them in the system. So let's hit this button. And now Struct PIM is taking all of these 5 products and one by one translating them behind the scenes. So let's go to the report. And here we have a nice overview of what was translated in this round of translations. And even though we selected 5 products, we can see that the USP field that we selected is only actually available in one of our products. So this was the only product that was translated in this run. So here we can go through each row of the USP list field and either approve or decline the translation, and then save the results in the system. So this is how you translate content for your products in Struct PIM. We've made it super easy, whether you want to manually translate one by one, or instead want to use AI to automatically translate products either one by one or an entire list of products. It's made super easy in Struct PIM. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to also watch some of our other feature highlights.